Jeff, Goods Gold Farm. I'm out here on the Kubota today, setting up with prepping paddocks for my new ewe lambs that I'll be getting hopefully within the next week. A lot of blackberries here. This pasture's been idle for about 5 years or more, maybe 7. So I've got a lot of weed growth here. What I'm doing here is I'm the start of a three series video on using Premier One live sheep and goat netting as a perimeter fence. My plan is to use it in conjunction with steel posts that you see here on the left coming up. These smaller steel posts or corner posts. I've got this poly fence going through, basically split this 4-acre pasture, not quite splitting in half, but I kind of went off of this gate post I had up here as an anchor. So my plan is to rotationally graze this using Premier One sheep and goat netting as my perimeter fence, and then using poly 1 or 2 to start, poly wire within, poly braid within that perimeter fence. I have 164 feet now. I'll probably invest in at least another 164 to be able to set up essentially a rectangular perimeter fence that allows me to get daily moves. That'd be about 6 daily moves on. So I can basically set up a perimeter fence and get a week's worth of move on one setup. So what I'm doing today is I don't want to do that. I don't want to put a lot of inputs into this. But what I'm trying to do here, because this pasture's been so overgrown for the past 5 to 7 years, I find with working with this Premier sheep netting that I'm just going to call it sheep netting because they don't have goats, but they list it as goat and sheep netting. I'm not going to keep saying goats until I get goats, but anyway, so what I'm doing here is I'm just making 3 passes. The idea is that as I grow, we've been getting some rain here. We're not in a drought situation like a lot of parts of the country, thank God. So what I'm doing here is I'm just making 3 passes with my Land Pride finishing mower. I don't have a brush hog, and I just keep making a pass and lowering it a little bit each time, going nice and slow. So I'm going to mow both sides up against this poly fence that's going to make the netting hot. Then I'm going to mow basically 16 paces to make a square. That's 4 posts on the Premier sheep netting, counting the corners. So 2 posts between each corner. So I'm going to paste this off, and I'm going to mow across the sections here, 16 paces all the way down to the end of this paddock, with the idea that as the forage grows back up, and forks, whatever you want to call it, I think a sheep will eat a lot of this, the new sprouts will be very palatable to them. They'll eat those off, and then hopefully we can regenerate this pasture with more of the favorable grasses and clovers and timothy and things like that that are in the National Seed Bank, natural seed bank. As these young weed sprouts come back up that I'm mowing here, hopefully they'll be really palatable to the sheep, and I won't have to continue to mow these lanes in the future. Just mow the perimeters to keep the weeds off of the electric fence, the sheep netting. So that's what I'm doing here. This is step 1 of this Premier One sheep netting setup video series. I'm going to continue to mow these alleys for the netting, which will make my moves much easier in the future. it will allow the sheep to graze these new sprouts of weeds as they come up. Hopefully it'll be a lot more palatable. And yeah, it'll just be so much easier for me to make the paddock moves once I get the sheep here in the next few days. Have a good day, everybody.